Thank you all for joining us today for this webinar as we walk through the Frontiers Planet Prize and the Royal Society of Canada's role in it. I'm Russell McDonald. I'm the Programs Manager at the RSC. I'm joined today by my colleague Nick Lafreniere, the Membership and Awards Officer, and we're delighted today to be joined by Gilbert De Gregorio, the Associate Director of the Frontiers Planet Prize. The webinar is being recorded and will be made available following the session in case you miss anything or if anybody has missed it. We'll post it online and share the link. So the RSC is excited to take on the role as Canada's national representative body for the upcoming 2026 competition of the Frontiers Planet Prize and beyond. This means that we, the RSC, will be coordinating the submission of dossiers from institutions from our IMs from universities across Canada and selecting the top 3 to submit to the Frontiers Planet Prize that will then proceed to their jury of 100 for the selection of Canada's national champion. You may have seen the recent announcement of Dr. Suzanne Tank from the University of Alberta as Canada's 2025 national champion for the 3rd edition of the prize. She joins Marie-Josée Fortin from the University of Toronto and Umberto Berardi from Toronto Metropolitan University as the 1st and 2nd national champions from Canada. So congratulations to Drs. Tank, Fortin, and Berardi. And we're looking forward to the 2026 competition and seeing who emerges from that. The purpose of today's webinar is to provide some instructions, to provide institutions and scholars, so not just for universities, with details about the prize and its mechanics. So I will speak first introducing the webinar. I will then turn things over to Gilbert, who will give a presentation about the prize itself, what it's about, how it works, things like that. It will then come back to the RSC, to our side, to talk a little bit about timelines and procedures, how it's going to work on our side, and then we'll open the floor to questions. If you have questions throughout, feel free to put them in the Q&A feature in the webinar, or at the end, if you'd like to speak, raise your hand and we'll turn your microphone on and you can ask your question out loud if that's more comfortable for you. So I will turn the floor over to Gilbert De Gregorio to share about the prize itself. Gilbert?
Great. Thank you very much, Russell. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining this meeting. I was looking through the participants list and realized I recognized some of your names. So I'm really pleased that you're joining again and supporting our mission, which is extremely important. So for those of you who are new to the prize, I really hope that this will give you a good whistle-stop tour of what the prize is about, its mission, objectives, and how you can get involved. For everyone else who knows the prize already, a lot of it's very similar, just a couple of updates. And everything that I'm sharing in this presentation is essentially a narrative that can be found within our brochures and also online on the Frontiers Planet Prize website. So with that being said, let's get started. So what is the Frontiers Planet Prize? It's a unique global science competition that recognizes exceptional scientists who deliver breakthrough, scalable solutions for living healthy lives on a healthy planet. And that is our key motto. Excuse me. In terms of outputs, it's very straightforward. Each year, 3 scientists win $1 million each to scale up and amplify their research. And this uses a way to make sure we can really bring out the impact of their work. And through the unique mechanism of the prize, it looks at collapsing the timeline to gain scientific consensus around the much needed solutions we need today. And through that, it's about mobilizing the academic community, getting these solutions on the table. So we like to think ourselves as being akin to kind of the Nobel Prize of Sustainability. To date, we're the largest prize that exists in planetary health. And in terms of the output, as I mentioned, each country has a national champion from each participating country. Of that cohort, we have 3 international champions, each of whom win that coveted $1 million prize. If you're not familiar with the planetary boundaries framework, this is essentially the basis of the criteria we follow in order to define exactly the objective and the mission of the prize. It's a geophysical framework put together and launched in 2009 by late Will Steffen and Johan Rockström. It looks at defining what are the quantitative thresholds of the geophysical properties of our planet that we must stay within, i.e. the tipping points, in order for us to avoid irreversible, catastrophic environmental runaway changes. Out of the 9 of them, we have currently, as of 2023, transgressed six of them. Novel entities being the newest ones, including synthetic plastics. And we're very much in the critical zone for essentially all of the boundaries. So as you can imagine, given that we only have 5 years left to achieve the Paris Agreement, it's about taking action right now and making sure that we can get back into a safe operating space where humanity can continue to thrive within the boundaries of this planet. So it's obviously an extremely ambitious mission, and science is very much at the key, putting forward evidence-based solutions in order for us to stay within the boundaries. So if we take the planetary boundary framework and the mission of the prize, there are three things that we'd like to achieve. I've mentioned this before. It's about mobilizing the entire academic ecosystem. And that means not just institutions and scientists, but working very closely with Nicola, Russell, and all of our dear colleagues at the Royal Society of Canada, national academies to federate best research from each country in the world. And once we have mobilized them, we ignite a sense of competition. And this is where we accelerate the scientific breakthroughs in planetary boundary science worldwide. Once we do that, we like to catalyze the adoption of these breakthroughs, and we act as an enabling platform through our partnerships with institutions such as the World Economic Forum, the UNFCCC, basically fueling the private sector and policy to really drive that transformative change. So you can think of this kind of like this butterfly effect. We are at the center, we have this prize where we want to mobilize academics within universities and academies to enable us to catalyze policy, prepare the next generation, and also launch new green business models that allow us to have a nature positive transition. So what does that actually mean and how do we do that? We have a unique mechanism through our nomination community. And this is a unique way to make sure we can get all of the academic stakeholders involved. So active scientists on the ground, researchers who are conducting work in labs in the field. And what they do is they publish their research and submit it to their research institutions that we call the National Nominating Bodies. They, in turn, submit their research to the National Academies of Science, so in this case, the RSC, which we call the national representative bodies, and they submit the top three nominations from their country to the jury of 100. And they, in complete independence, select the national champion for each country, and from them, the international champions. And I'm going to run through this mechanism in a bit more detail shortly. So since the launch of the prize, we're now in our fourth edition, but we've seen that it has grown year on year with an increase in institutions joining our mission. So we launched on Earth Day, that's the 22nd of April, 2022. And at that point, we had 233 institutions who immediately responded to the call for participation, showing their commitment to our mission of taking action and putting science at the forefront of transformative action. In our second edition, this then doubled to more than 400 to 475 institutions. And as we closed our last edition from the third year, we reached just over 600. And in the same vein, what's really truly unique about the prize is that the research itself isn't self-nominated. It's actually put forward by institutions and academies that are global leaders themselves. So I'm pleased to share the 24 national academies that we work with, all of them ensuring a rigorous and mission-aligned selection process. So here in shorts, we're surfacing the best science for action, not just the great papers, but research with the potential to solve and save our entire planetary ecosystem. And finally, all the national nominees that are put forward by our academies go to our independent jury of 100. And these are leading planetary health experts with representation from across all disciplines and regions. And what they do is they convene to discuss, evaluate, and select the winners from each country and also the international champions. And they do this in complete impartiality with great rigor. And at the helm of the jury, we have none other than Professor Johan Rockström himself, who leads and arbitrates the final decisions on who makes the champion titles. Within the foundation, we're relatively small. So there are five of us working on the prize, and we're very grateful to be supported by our advisory board. And these are five individuals who help us make sure that A, we extend the reach for participation, and secondly, we can drive impact of the prize. So here we have, for example, the president of the International Science Council, Peter Gluckman, who represents the voice of science, especially within the sustainability space. We have senior leaders from Future Earth, the president of the African Academy, Liz Corsten, and recently we've also have the chief scientific officer of the National Geographic Society also joining us to ensure we've got greater media and communication around the prize. So now that I've gone through all the kind of nomination bodies, how do they all piece together in the mechanics? So right at the start of the process, the foundation, i.e. myself, Jean-Claude, and the rest of the team, we invite institutions and academies to join as the national nominating bodies and the national representative bodies. The NNBs then, once on board, they reach out to the lead scientists of the most promising research articles and receive their applications, after which these institutions shortlist them to the top three and share them with the NRB, in this case, the Royal Society of Canada. And you folks will have the tough choice of selecting who are the top three and submit them to the jury of 100 who undergo 2 rounds of voting. The first to decide on the one national champion for each participating country, and the second one to decide on the international champions. On Earth Day, we then make the announcement of the national champions, and then the announcement of the international champions happen at the award ceremony, which takes place in June. And in our case, it's actually taking place in 5 days. So we're looking forward to learning whether Susan Tank has been deemed an international champion or not. For every competition, there's obviously criteria. This is very similar to last year with some very small changes. The first thing to note is that the prize is awarded to best research published in established peer-reviewed scientific journals with robust peer review and transparent publication procedures. The date of acceptance is between the 1st of November 2023 to the 31st of October this year. And this is to ensure that we have a moving frame to allow the most innovative breakthrough research published at any one time to participate in the prize. Any discipline is able to participate. As you've seen this year, we have quite a few social scientists actually making it to national champions. So as long as there is a focus on planetary boundaries and presents original research findings, insightful reviews, or syntheses, they're able to participate. And in terms of the research itself, it lies on 3 pillars. The first of which, it should have an actionable solution or a pathway to a solution that can be implemented in policies, adapted commercially, or kept or used to keep global development within planetary boundaries. It should also at the same time advance our scientific understanding of planetary boundaries and explore how they can impact life support systems or our Earth systems. And finally, because we're doing this on an Earth system scale, it must connect to several boundaries to ensure that we're not putting in, for example, climate change, but then exacerbating another, like increasing ocean acidification. If you'd like to have an idea of what kind of research is available, I invite you to go onto our website and take a look at the plethora of different thought pieces and research articles that have already been published. A lot of them you can see harness systems change, transformational changes, harnessing nature-based solutions. And this shows you the real range of solutions that can come from any part of the world and in any discipline to ensure that we can thrive within the boundaries of our planet. So now we've just started our 4th edition, and I'm pleased to share that out of the 3rd edition, we managed to get our 2025 national champions. So the 19 brilliant minds that show how you can go from talk to transformation. And here we have a great representation of work across the different disciplines. And this year we've had a huge focus on biodiversity, restoration of water ecosystems, and the use of nature-based solutions across agriculture, cities, circular economies, waste management. And I invite you all to take a look at the great research that our champions have produced. And I'd like to move briefly on to the impact. So it's all well and good that we're giving out 3 million per year, but what is this actually trying to achieve long term? And we try to track this as much as we can. And the first thing we've noted is over 10,000 scientists have participated in the prize thus far. And that's through their work as contributing authors or co-authors or leading the research study themselves. We have given out a prize pot of over 6.6 million US dollars, and we're being picked up across the media and also within policy. So almost 300 policy documents that have been picked up by UN agencies, the OECD, the World Bank, the UK government, and also the publications of the European Union. So really driving change from a policy front. So let's get into the more concrete aspects of the timeline and the next steps of the prize. All of this, as I mentioned, can be found on the timelines part of the mechanics page on our website and also on our brochure. I'm not going to spend too much time going through this, but this is the most important information that you need to know. If you haven't registered to be part of the prize and you're very interested in doing so, please do reach out. You can register from any time up to the end of September. As soon as you register, that's when you receive more information, which I'll share shortly. And this is where you can reach out to lead scientists of the most promising research articles from your institution, invite them to apply. And then mid-October, specifically for the RSE, is a point at which you'll be submitting your three nominations to them to give them 6 weeks to conduct their evaluations and submit it to the jury by the 1st of December. So I guess the majority of the individuals here are representing an institution. So this is a cheat sheet of exactly what are the next steps. Number one, register on our platform if you haven't done so already. Reach out. The registration link is available through us or also through the RSC. It's very straightforward to do so. As soon as you do that is when you can start nominating the lead scientist and finding who you'd like to put forward. I want to make one thing quite clear. When you select the lead scientist, it should be the individual who best represents the research of that published article and is selected directly by the NNB. It's not based on the hierarchical position of the author. So please do bear subconscious bias whenever you want to put someone through. We want to really show the diversity of thought and be as inclusive as possible. It's based on one research article, not a lifetime contribution. The jury will not be looking at who that individual is. It's all about the research. If that individual is awarded the international champion title, they can manage the prize money forward to drive that project. Okay. Once you have nominated those lead scientists, you can invite them to apply by filling out an application form, which is in a resource hub, and then they can submit it back to you on a deadline that you set, after which you review the top application and select them and share them with your NRB. I learned from Russell and Nicola that we are working at the moment with NNBs and institutions who are interested in joining. So I'm not going to go through what you need to do if you're a scientist, but if you are and you'd like to be involved, just email myself or info@Frontiers Planet Prize and we'll share with you what the next steps are to get you involved. Okay, so once you register, you will then receive a resource hub. So all of those who are already NNBs, you do not need to re-register. Your registration already rolls over for the fourth edition. And here you will have access to brochures, to the application form and written communication, anything that you need to help widen your call within your institution. Any questions, obviously you can reach out anytime, but you should use this at your disposal however you wish. And allow me to end with why this is such an important webinar. You are in the best position to decide who the next cohort of champion, the next generation of national champions are. We are the only prize that works on a yearly basis that looks to collapse this timeline to reach scientific consensus. And this is the best way we can bring transdisciplinary, transformative research to the table. We will be at COP, we will be at Davos, we'll be at all different places to make sure that we can push forward the agenda of our winners. And the international champions can use this money specifically and solely to scale up and amplify the impact of their research. So, all in all, we're acting as a movement, mobilizing the community and giving voice to the community to drive this positive change, what we like to call enabling a global green renaissance. So allow me to end that there. A big thank you, Russell and Nicola. We are here to facilitate this prize, but we cannot determine what the outcomes are. It's owned by the scientific community. So if you have any questions, please do reach out to either myself or Jean-Claude. Visit our website and also our LinkedIn page where we have further information. And I think that's good. I'm happy to go over to questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Gilbert. Just before we get to questions, I'm going to talk a little bit about the process on our side, and then we're happy to take questions from everyone. Um, so, as we noted, the Royal Society of Canada is excited to be, for the first time this year, Canada's national representative body. And as part of this process, we are reaching out to our institutional members to encourage them to sign up as national nominating bodies. Here you should see there now the list of the current national nominating bodies from Canada. If you don't see your institution and thought you might, let us know. We will look into that. And if you don't see your institution and want to become a national nominating body, that's great. That's what we're here to help facilitate. Either myself and Nick or through Gilbert and his team. I've just put in the chat a link to the national nominating body registration form. I hope that you are able to see it. I hope that the audience is able to see it, and we can share that. We can share that again. All Canadian institutions are eligible to sign up as NNBs. And again, we'd be happy to receive more applications from institutions to join those ranks. NNBs have the privilege of submitting up to 3 nominations per year. And so once accepted as an NNB, the nominations are easy to submit. There's an application form that the scientist, the applicant, would submit to you along with the link. It's a brief application form. We're not looking for RSC fellowship levels of process here. There's no, and Gilbert, please correct me if I'm wrong on any of these points, but there's no letters of reference. There's no elements like that make it complex. The applicant would submit the application form with a brief description of their work, attach the article.
Precisely.
Great.
It should only take about half an hour to fill out the form.
Yeah, great. Submit it to the NNBs, and then it would be up to you as an institution to decide if you have more than 3 applicants, decide which 3 to submit to us. I'm going to click to our next slide here, the process slide. You would then submit up to 3 nominations to us. We would then go through our process to select which 3 from all across Canada that we would submit to the Frontiers Planet Prize to their jury. The nominations, submitting them to us is straightforward. Simply send what you receive from the applicant, send the 3 packages you receive from the applicant to Nick or to nominations@rsc-src.ca. And this information, we'll post the slides and we'll post this information on our website. I'll put the link here again for the Frontiers Planet Prize tab on the RSC page where we'll have this information going forward. And then about timelines. So Gilbert mentioned that our timeline is a little bit in advance of their recommended timeline. In his slides, it noted that NNB nominations from NNBs, from institutions, were due November 1st. We're asking for them by October 17th because, as you will know, our COEE is in mid-November, so we are in full swing there. So to give ourselves a little bit of extra time to work through the applications that we receive, the nominations that we receive, we're asking for them by October 17th. They will then come to a committee, an RSC committee, much like all of our awards and selection committees, to be adjudicated, and then we will submit the 3 nominations by December 1st to the jury of 100. The national champions are announced each April on Earth Day. And then the three international champions are announced, as Gilbert mentioned, at the award ceremony, which this year is next week. So we appreciate you taking time, Gilbert. I'm sure you're very busy. We appreciate you taking time to join us today, so close to your big award ceremony. I'd like to open the floor to questions. I see there was one that came in the chat already, which Nick answered online. But Gilbert, again, please correct us if I'm wrong, but the question was, if our institution has registered before as a national nominating body, do they need to register again? My understanding is they do not.
Correct, they do not need to. They're automatically, for each edition you registered once, you're automatically considered for subsequent editions.
Great. Thank you for clarifying that. So are there any questions? Please feel free to post them in the chat, put your hand up, and I'll turn on your microphone. We're happy to hear from you. Okay, I see one question's come in. Is the nomination form available in the resources hub, and could you send a link for that for the scientist? Okay, yeah, so that the scientist application form, I'm calling it an application form. I hope that's the right terminology, but they are applying through their institution. So that is at the bottom of that page. So you can take a look at, you can see what it looks like, see what is being asked there. I have a hand from Miriam, so I'm going to allow to talk. Please feel free to ask your question. Thank you.
Hi, I hope you can hear me okay.
Yes, great.
Thank you for this session. I have a question. So one of the questions on the application form is provide a brief personal statement, why my paper should win the prize. I'm just sort of looking for some guidance on what they're looking for in the answer on this question in particular. Thank you.
I can take that. So the three text boxes are ways for you to show exactly how it adheres to the criteria and why you think it should win the prize. So it's very much up to how you wish to do so. The one thing I would say in that it's the opportunity for you to type back to the main criteria that was set to say what's the actionable solution, why that's important, what novel insights have we got to quantifying the planetary boundaries, and how can it be scaled on an Earth system scale? I think some of them you may already include in other parts of the application form, but here is a space where you can be a little bit more creative. And you can also use this space, and other applicants have done this in the past, is to show what new policies have been generated or anything that's important about that work that already shows that it's proven to be transformative.
Great. Thank you, Gilbert. Does that help, Miriam?
Yes, thank you. That's very helpful.
Great. I just put in the chat again a link to the Frontiers page. If you scroll down a little bit on that link, you'll see the jury's procedure, where it lists there are six criteria on which the submissions are assessed. So I think that's my sense would be that would be a space where you can elaborate on how it addresses all of those criteria.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you for posting that, Russell.
Great. Yeah. We have two more questions that have come into the chat. Allison Watson asks, will the RSC disclose the list of committee members who are selecting the three national nominees? That's a good question. And Nick, maybe you can jump in here. My understanding is that we do, or is that just for fellowship, for membership selection?
So I don't think we'll be disclosing the list of who's on the committee until after the selections are made. So that would be no.
Okay, but I guess so. We haven't yet identified the committee for this prize. But yeah, we would follow our regular procedure. So Nick, that is to identify the committee members following the selection. Is that?
That's correct. That's
okay.
right.
Great, thank you. And then Rachel Barkin asks, are articles in the social sciences eligible? If so, have any social scientists advanced to national champions?
Very good question, and absolutely, social scientists are more than eligible. Any discipline can be involved in the prize. To answer your question about have any managed to become national champions, I don't have the number on the top of my head, but I do know that quite a few have. If you look at last year, for example, we had a couple from them from South Africa, if I believe, Mia Strand and Daniel Muth from Hungary. There was Both of them were humanities, arts, and social science studies, which actually made it to national champion. And this year we have quite a few as well. I invite you to look, for example, at the Netherlands and Australia, both of which are social science studies as well. This is absolutely fine for any discipline to join and to put forward their nomination. They just have to adhere to the criteria and make at least an implicit link back to the planetary boundaries.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, and please feel free to send them in as if anything comes to you now. But also, you can reach out to Nick and myself, and or Gilbert and Jean-Claude if you have any questions about the prize or about the RSC's process. We'd be happy to hear from you, and we are keen to receive your nominations and applications for as national nominating bodies. And we're looking forward to our role in this process for sort of taking over our role for the 2026 competition. So
Thank
thank
you
you all
very
for joining us.
much.
Any last words, Gilbert or Nick?
No, thank you very much for allowing me to join, and I look forward to having you all participate and be engaged and put forward nominations. I'm always available for any questions, apart from next week because we have our award ceremony. But after that, I look forward to hearing from you. And if we don't catch up, I hope you all have a relaxing summer.